Whew, what a time. Lots to get into in Rapids world. We've got the legend Kevin Egan joining us. Pids basically losing their entire core. NWSL just hired a new coach. Denver Summit, I should say. We've got it all right now. Don't want to miss this one. Starting now, baby. Up the Pids? Question mark? Yeah, we're treating this like a loser's lounge because my, oh my, what a morning. We, of course, are your DNVR Rapids podcast coming to you straight from the Toyota Lounge on the corner of Colfax and York in downtown Denver, right above the DNVR bar. Of course, we are driven by your local Toyota stores. Woof! Our anger driven by a smooth, comfy, safe Toyota drive today. I'm joined by the legend, downtown Dwayne Brown. Yaya actually in the penalty box. Yeah. Not safe for Roku TV and the other platforms.
Thankfully
we are on.
For everyone, Yaya's schedule got moved around and today is his day off, which is great because he might have burned the entire studio down today.
Oh my God. We've got a phenomenal guest. Kevin Egan joining us. So let's go straight to Kevin. Kevin, how are you, my fine sir? Thank you so much for joining us. First, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you perfectly, yeah. And I seem to be doing a little bit better than you lads by the sound of things this morning.
That's exactly right. So now that I know the audio works, Kevin, of course, the host of, really all of Apple TV's MLS in-studio shows. I told this to Sasha. I think in a world where sports media is kind of in this weird transition of figuring out what we want to be when we grow up, it's a lot of people yelling at each other. And of course, we will be doing that in just a second. But MLS 360, MLS Countdown, the kind of shows you've been hosting on Apple TV are exactly what real sports fans, I think, crave. Just great sports discussions from people who live it, breathe it, highlights, actual discussion about the sports, not just rage bait and people yelling over each other. So bless you and all the great work you do. If you're a subscriber, you know who Kevin is. So it's a real pleasure to have you on this show. And I hope you're equipped for some couples counseling or, distress counseling, because that's what we need this morning. But Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. Once again, how's everything going in this busy Leagues Cup stretch of the season?
Good. Welcome to my hotel room here in Stamford, Connecticut. Yeah, and thank you for the kind words, Dre. It means the world because I feel like, in a way, you're spot on about the landscape of television right now. And we're still very much in the teething phase of what we're doing, I think, with Apple and MLS, because it's a whole new world, without breaking into the song. But it is. It's a different world right now. And I think we're figuring it out. But hopefully people enjoy the coverage. It's a one-stop shop where you get all your MLS games, all your Rapids games, whether it's Leagues Cup or Major League Soccer are with us. So yeah, I'm having fun though. I'm loving the job. It's a dream job for me. 360 is a dream role for me, being honest.
Yeah.
And soccer's the game that I love the most. So it's a joy.
It's been showing, man. It really has been showing. Obviously, we love the league so much. I'd love to get your thoughts as a fellow foreigner coming into this league and how the sport's growing stateside. But first, we got to get to a lot of stuff because yesterday evening, we are devastated by reports, not official yet, that Djordje Mihailovic signing for a record fee and leaving the Rapids for Toronto FC. And then this morning, I wish we got Boogered. Instead, it's Tommy Scoops. It's Booger reporting that Fluminense in Brazil trying real hard to sign the Rapids' other star, Rafa Navarro. So let's start with the Djordje news. What's the perception, kind of, from someone who covers the league at large of the Rapids? If I was an alien with some great soccer knowledge but little MLS knowledge, and I landed on the planet, how would you explain to me why you would leave the Rapids, who the last few years have been more successful, for a project like Toronto FC, who've been a cellar dweller since 2021?
Yeah, first of all, from a Rapids perspective, there's no way of sugarcoating this. If you're a fan of the Rapids right now, it feels like a dagger, because he's been that good for you guys. We do the previews for the following match week. After we finish MLS wrap up on a Sunday night, we'll do previews for the next matches. And we always joke, because when it gets to the Rapids, the first name that's mentioned is Djordje. When we get to Real Salt Lake, it's Diego Luna. There's certain guys that just mean so much to the clubs. And that's why this one hurts for Rapids fans. And also, the position you're in right now, 9th place in the Western Conference, you're in that perilous position where a side led by Chris Armas can absolutely go on a run. Like, he's the sort of coach that I would absolutely run through a brick wall for and fight for and want to do well for. And I know that Djordje, obviously, he did really well for him and with Colorado. But obviously, we don't know the details. Maybe Toronto are offering him something that the Rapids aren't. And he's looking at it saying this is a good career move, or the project in Toronto. Now that they've bid farewell to the Italians, that maybe Robin Fraser is promising the world, that Toronto are willing to go and spend big money on players, and maybe Djordje's looking at the project saying this is something for me. It's a tough one though. There's no sugarcoating it. If I'm a Rapids fan right now, I'm hurting, but I'm also hoping that ownership take this money. If that reported fee is right, it's a lot of money. Like, go and invest that back in the team and bring in the players that Chris Armas wants.
Yeah, Dwayne, I mean, we're just conflicted between these two parts of it. Losing Djordje is devastating, but as Kevin's saying, they should be able to do something with a record transfer fee. And yet the track record would suggest otherwise, which is what Dwayne tells me over and over. That's where I think Rapids fans really have an issue, Kevin. And I don't know. I mean, what is the perception of this club right now around the league?
Well, the perception is that, honestly, that Navarro has been a hit. Or Navarro, we're saying it like the Brazilian.
Yes.
He's been a real hit. And look, and I didn't see this coming, guys. I was out at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. I remember the game was a really strange game to call, given all that had happened behind the scenes for both Colorado and the Revs. This was in 2023. And I remember watching Navarro thinking, you've got to be so much more than what you're showing right now. And I didn't see the player that I didn't see it coming. The player that we see today is very much a complete nine. He's excellent inside the area, good at linking up. Bradley Roy Phillips sits to my left, and he's a 2-time Golden Boot winner in the league, and he just loves what he's seeing from Rafa Navarro. So I hope that he stays. I hope that the Rapids, fully commit to him and he commits to them. And it's one of those relationships that you can bloom and blossom from, because the nine it's a cliche, but it is the most difficult position in the team to nail down and find a key guy. And if you could bring in another creative player, and there are a lot of good creative players that the Rapids could now go out for to replace Djordje Mihailovic. And also, let's remember, Cole Bassett's position had to adjust a little bit because of Djordje, and there's a few tweaks that could be made there. So it's not necessarily the 10 that they need to go and get. But the perception of the Rapids, I would say, blue collar, hardworking, Chris Armas led, but we're left wanting more. And that's for me, that's the case. I'm left wanting more. Certainly I want to see more dollars spent in the team, and for this money to be reinvested back into the group, and hopefully another star like Djordje, because he's one to remember for Rapids fans if this is true and if it does go ahead. We weren't boogered, were we? It's definitely Bogart, yeah?
We were.
No, it was
I've
a
checked
Bogart.
a million times. God, what I would give for 2 O's in that last name. Oh, just give me 2 O's, please. Oh, it's so devastating. To transition a little bit,
I wonder, did Tom create that himself, by the way?
It would be genius. It's maybe my favorite bit on MLS Twitter right now.
If he did, it's the ultimate
I
troll
love it
job.
so much.
I mean, He's won Twitter at that point.
It's phenomenal. And he's constructing his tweets and news in like a good way. Like if I got boogered right now for some potential, now that Djordje Mihailovic is gone, Rapids considering X and I got boogered, I'm smashing that retweet instantly, you know. Doesn't
It's a badge
matter.
of honor. It's a booger of honor.
Yeah, I'll take
this
anything right now.
Weeby was in studio yesterday saying he got boogered as well. I caught him for about an hour or so.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Let's talk some Leagues Cup. How have you liked this new format? And are the Rapids out already? Will they play anyone tonight?
I mean, the Rapids, they're not out, like, as we know, because it's just tight, though. Here's the reality of it. Like, Colorado need a boatload of things to go their way, as well as beating Cruz Azul within 90 minutes by several goals, I would think. The first tiebreaker is regulation wins, which is a good thing because the Rapids win, they'll have 2, say more than LAFC, for example, aside to sit on 6 points. So immediately the Rapids, irrespective of the goal difference, will jump ahead of LAFC. But there's other teams there that look primed and ready to capitalize. And you've also got Seattle and Portland that have 2 wins from 2. So only the top 4 teams get in. I love this format. My only fear with this format was meaningless games on the final match day. And you have that tonight. We've got, for example, Gonzalo Pineda's return to Atlanta as head coach of Atlas, and it's a meaningless game. That was my fear. But at the same token, you look at the MLS standings for the Leagues Cup right now, and it is phenomenal, the amount of teams. There's 12 teams right now that could finish inside the top 4, and we've only got 2 match days left of games. So an awful lot's going to play out tonight. Orlando Necaxa, for example, is a sneaky good game. Miami Pumas, both teams need to win that. And that's massively intriguing. No Lionel Messi for Miami. Minnesota could sneak into the top 4, which would be a huge achievement for them. And I've mentioned Portland taking on a Club America side that I expect will rotate now that they've been knocked out. And I think that's been one of the headlines here, guys, is that the massive teams from Liga MX didn't show up in this tournament. They didn't perform, like Tigres may not make it now, having lost last night. So it's crazy to see Cruz Azul get battered by Seattle 7-0. And then we obviously saw Cruz Azul beat Vancouver 5-0. So, we're back and forth here with this rivalry.
It's been fun. I've really liked the tournament. What are your thoughts?
Every year, this is what, the 3rd year?
Yeah, yes, correct.
I feel like I go into Leagues Cup with, I'm more concerned about, speaking completely Rapids, I'm more concerned about our MLS, where we are on the MLS table. I don't really care about Leagues Cup. And then Leagues Cup starts, and I'm like,
it always reels you
oh
in.
my God. And part of your bio, if folks don't know, for a couple of years on the broadcast team of WWE, and I feel like you maybe have gotten a little taste of that with the end of Rapids versus Santos last week, with how that ends up. And it's just like, that. And now I'm back in, because I'm like, this tournament is just, I feel like I'm not in it. It starts, things get wacky, and then I'm right back in. What do you think it is that makes a tournament that everyone's just like, we've got enough soccer, we don't need any more, stop wasting our players when we don't have enough depth, and then Leagues Cup happens and everyone's like, this is insane, I love it. Like, what is it about that you think keeps pulling fans back into it now for 3 years?
I think part of your assessment, and I've felt the same way, is there's a little bit of soccer fatigue, right? With obviously Major League Soccer, you've got the CONCACAF Champions Cup, Club World Cup is introduced this year. Along comes All-Star Leagues Cup. So there's a little bit of fatigue there. However, then you watch what plays out, and it's been feisty. Like on wrap-up last night, I swear I was about to call an RKO at one point because you're watching these two teams go at each other, and this is several games now. Myself, Taylor, and Weeby were doing wrap-up, and there were so many games that got so feisty at the end. And I think you can tell what it means. And what I mean by that is, the players are well aware it's a path to the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And for an awful lot of teams, that's not very viable. Like a Mazatlan, a Juarez, for example. Juarez are still very much in with a shout. Mazatlan were until last night. There's several MLS teams that you could put in that category as well. And the CONCACAF Champions Cup is a route to the Club World Cup. So you're looking at Miami and what they did, bringing in Rodrigo De Paul for a reported 17 million at the end of the season when the loan was up. That 17 million is comfortably paid for by the 22.5 million they brought in from the Club World Cup. So it's a great route to bring in finances. I think that the importance of the new format and the urgency, more importantly, of the new format, I think is there for all to see, given that in match one, I thought you saw crazy endings because teams know that you need a minimum. Like, I think you need 8 points to be sure, but you need a minimum of 7 points, I think, to get in. I don't know if we're going to see many teams get in with 6 points. So it's an urgency to get through. And then the tournament this year is much quicker. Like, we're already at the final stage of phase one. And here we go, just quarterfinals, semis, and finals. So it's much quicker, more efficient, I think. The fact that we get Liga MX versus Major League Soccer all the way through to the quarterfinals through the quarterfinals, I should say, to the semifinals, I think is a wonderful addition. And yeah, I think it's just been quicker, more efficient. Teams want it more, and let's see who wins it in the end. I have no idea which way it's going to go. I'd probably bet on, if I was to bet, I'd probably say, not a betting man, but Seattle right now, sneaky in the Western Conference. So.
Yep.
And then they sneak into the Champions Cup, make some noise there. It does feel very soundery, for sure. It's honestly hardest interview of my life because Kevin will make a great point, but then you'll bring up a name like Robin Fraser, or you'll bring up a name like Champions Cup, and I just get PTSD of that second half in Champions Cup or the Fraser here, and I just blank out, you know. So Kevin, it's been amazing having you. Thank you so much for your time. Last question though, coming from Ireland, I grew up in Milan, Italy, so I think in some ways we have a different life experiences of seeing what the sport is in other places, right? And we've both been stateside for a little now. Just your experience, how has the league grown? How has interest in club soccer stateside grown just from your experience? And what's the direction we're going in here in the next couple of years?
From my experience, and I have to go back to the beginning because I came over in 2009, and I remember like thinking, okay, I've got all this Gaelic football and hurling are our national sports in Ireland. I've got all this experience working with the national broadcaster. I've worked on rugby and golf, horse racing. Obviously, I've worked on soccer too, but I'm looking at the landscape here thinking, there's no real interest in soccer. Like, it didn't feel that way. And I was living in Chicago, and a couple of years, I got a job after about 6 months or so working with the Big Ten Network. And eventually I started, I did it for free for years, but I ended up starting an online soccer show. And I was just trying to gauge any interest in this BTN soccer report that led to Chicago Fire. And I remember my first Chicago Fire broadcast, guys. This is crazy to think about. We broadcasted Montreal's inaugural match in the league in 2012. And we did it from the NASCAR studios in Charlotte because we go to Montreal, and there was a reason we couldn't do it from base in Chicago. And everything back then it really did feel small time, like in a lot of ways. And this was MLS, veering toward MLS, say 2.0. Right. I think now it just feels far more grandiose and blockbuster in a way. And hopefully, the Apple deal continues to kick on, and there's, the greater incentives for people to get involved. And, we're hearing all the rumors of a calendar change and changes to the way it's structured and rosters and acquisitions and stuff. We're in a new age right now with the greatest player of all time playing in our league. And, Heung-min Son joining LAFC, like this is a major, major deal for the league. So at a time when we see so many other stars joining, it's important, obviously, and this is where I hope, if there are to be restructurings done to the rosters, that the emphasis is really placed on the academies to produce, because that's where you grow the soul of clubs. And if there's a local kid coming through from Denver or the surrounding areas that you all love, you hear it chanted, whether it's, I'm sure, in Milano or whether it's over in Ireland, one of our own. Like, there's something so proud when you're from the area and fans can get behind you, And I was watching recently Atlanta United, a couple of the youngsters leaving the club, and I thought, no, this can't be the way forward. You've got to find a way to nurture these young talents, and while bringing in the superstars. And I think you see that now with Inter Miami, like Noah Allen, Benjamin Kramaski starring in this team alongside these legendary players, some of the greatest of all time. I think that's the future of our league, and long may it continue.
What a positive note. I want to like give Ollie Luraz, one of our own, a big hug
There you
in
go.
a tough morning like this.
Max McCarthy's got extra low for the gingers and
Exactly. Bless you, Kevin, for taking the time and coming on while we're having a minor meltdown here. Absolute pleasure. Keep up the great work. Soccer in America is lucky to have a great ally and advocate like yourself. So keep it up. Hope to do this again soon.
And I want to say this, and I'm saying this out loud, and I probably should, but I really want to get you guys and other like fan TV more involved in our shows in some way or another, because you do such great work all around the league, and that needs to be spotlighted, and your opinions absolutely matter and should be amplified. So I've been pushing that in the inside just to see if there's a big game, to get you guys on to be part of, say, a Sunday Night Soccer or something like that. So
love it.
I'll probably be in trouble for saying it, but I would love to push that, because there's so many great voices that I feel need to be amplified around the country, and you guys are
amazing.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin, so much.
Have a great rest of your day. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then I see the chat is doing their thing. Bless you all for being here. Send your love to Yaya or your insults. That's his love language.
Slide into Yaya's DMs on Twitter and let him know how much you love the Colorado Rapids. He would really love that. Just
no harassment. We don't encourage harassment of our employees, but yes, in a respectful, fun way, you may do that. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, we're gonna unpack all this stuff. A shout out first to our friends at Toyota. You guys know trucks, SUVs, always been a part of Toyota's DNA. And, you know, as are their all-wheel and four-wheel car options, which is why I think it is the absolute perfect Colorado car, the perfect car to go west, get lost in the mountains, do what I did last week with the family. Was beautiful, regenerating. And when you do it in a Toyota, it's that much better. I mentioned the family, fantastic family car, reliable, just a great car, and their customer service, second to none. Anyone around DNVR office who drives a Toyota swears by it and has just the greatest endorsements. So yeah, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. That is my hood. Toyota, a proud partner of the Colorado Rapids. Bless them, and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. And also the places you may go, you know, Cake Mortgage, lots of independent professionals around town. We've all driven around Denver and gone to a coffee shop at like 11 a.m.
Sure.
And the place is full with nothing but people on their laptops, and we wonder, does anyone work in this town? Well, yes, they do, but they might be self-employed professionals. They might be freelancers. They might run their own business, right? Do some of the stuff we were doing in the early days at the DNVR. Why does that matter to Cake Mortgage? Because Cake Mortgage is a different type of investor and provider. Because if you're a first-time home buyer, you're a first-time investor, they are there to serve you as an independent professional, someone who maybe doesn't have those conventional W-2s to go and get approved. They have other ways to bridge that gap and work through that complicated paperwork. So all you need is a lease agreement, or you can just make a rent piece of cake. Call 800-EAT-CAKE. That's 800-EAT-CAKE. Again, call 800-EAT-CAKE to get a better slice of the American dream. Call now or visit cakehome.com to read their 5-star reviews and get started. Cake Mortgage Corporation, equal housing lender, NMLS number 1734623, licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions, that's right, apply. Whew. I need to refresh the Booger Twitter feed, see if there's anything else on Hafa right now. Nope. Okay, that's good. So, yes, we got into it with Kevin, who really was a joy to have on. That was great.
He's awesome.
Shout out to Kirk, who sets those up through Apple TV. He's a legend and a homie for doing that. So yeah, the latest. I mean, we haven't even got into the Cheeto stuff.
No.
Cheeto out.
As I shared with my daughter.
Yeah, you
The
should
other
tell
day.
that story.
I picked my daughter up from the Y after work the other day. She said, "Daddy, how's your day?" And I said, "It's not been the best day, Penny." And she's like, "Why? What happened?" And I said, "Well, it looks like the Djordje Mihailovic might be leaving the Rapids." And she was like, "Why? He's their best player." And I was like, "I don't know yet, Penny, but he's also my favorite player and on the squad right now." And I was like, "It's just a bummer." My daughter, with pure sincerity, says, "Well, at least we still have Cheeto." Because I have not
Which,
told
like,
her that
ball
info.
nowhere.
And I said, "Well, Cheeto left 2 weeks ago, kiddo." And she was like, "What?" Just rage from the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
Rough day. Rough
Yeah.
day.
Rob holding in Noah Cobb, who I'm intrigued by, but again, I just tend to be intrigued by these guys. Young defender from Atlanta United with some good experience over there, coming in on loan. So you're adding 2 center backs while losing Cheeto. And then, of course, in the last 24 hours, this bombshell report of Djordje Mihailovic going to Toronto FC, the Rapids trying to convince him, turning down 2 separate offers. But once Djordje came in and said, I would like to go to Toronto, that project was the one he did want to go to. So I presume the other 2 offers were from other teams.
I think they were Toronto.
Able to convince. Could be. The wording is
like,
unclear,
yeah, it's
right?
unclear. It could have been 2 offers from Toronto that the Rapids turned down before they decided to take the next offer after Djordje put in his 2 cents on it.
I'm interpreting it as 2 other offers, but you're right. The wording
Which
is unclear.
is certainly feasible for Djordje Mihailovic.
Yeah, and we will see. The deals aren't finalized yet. I think what's holding it up is Djordje's contract, because it sounds like everything on the transfer side is in place, and it's a record transfer fee of $8 million, which outdoes the Bombi fee. There's a sell-on clause percentage and a potential $1 million bonus as well, so could be up to 10 plus. And then in the morning, we get yet another bombshell that Brazilian club Fluminense, have made a bid north of $7 million for Rafa Navarro that the Pids have rejected. Boger adding more context that Rafa was always going to leave at some point. That was always the plan, either going back to Brazil or on to Europe, and that the Rapids don't want to sell, particularly after the Mihailovic departure. TBD, he says, if Fluminense keep pushing, I think you get north of the Djordje transfer fee and you might be pretty close. Quote that I found interesting was Rapids actively working through several potential additions this summer. Plenty of time left in the window. So yeah, that's the latest. You're repping the Up the Effing Pids, which is the great Djordje quote.
Felt appropriate.
I'm rocking the Rapids peanut butter and jelly, because our peanut butter and jelly for the Pids was very much Djordje to Rafa. The last game-winning goal is a Djordje free kick to Rafa for the banger to beat Tijuana, right? And go up 2-1.
Yes.
So that is our final memory. And yeah, man, just from a more not big picture roster construction, this is devastating. I mean, those are 2 guys who are absolutely phenomenal. Djordje, first and foremost, just having a guy like that. I think I've said it a couple times on this pod. I felt like we haven't had a front, maybe not a forward, but an attacking midfielder of that quality since since the cup winning years and Cummings.
For sure. I mean, you look at also, what's up, Mitch? Mitch in the chat.
My guy.
You look at, I don't know. I saw some when all the rage on Twitter. It's weird to do this 2 days later because I feel like all of the rage hit
starting
already.
To make sense a little bit,
but it's starting to calm down a little bit.
Though the Hoffa news does.
The Hoffa news amps it up.
That amps it up nicely.
So I don't know. I saw, I don't know who said it. I don't remember what context. I mean, it was obviously context of Djordje, but
we've had a lot going on. So
one person, had tweeted out earlier this week, Djordje quit on the team. I'm done with him. And I'm just like, in his last four games, 1 goal, 3 assists in 4 games.
Yeah, no,
that's not a guy who's quitting at any point on any team. He, for the Rapids, I'm not saying for global soccer, for the Rapids, generational talent. We've not seen a player of his talent level,
that is factual.
His dog, his anger when things are not going right, his goal contributions, breaking records in just his second year.
Well, and just a guy who, like, a big name signing who comes in and exceeds expectations from the get.
Yes. And it's like, okay, you know what? Finally, like, we got a guy, then you see Hoffa start to build it up, and then you see the connection between the two when, frankly, I mean, we've been talking all year, the wingers have not been stellar, and that reliance on the Djordje to Hoffa connection is heavy. And when you lose a record-breaking goal contributor, DP mid-season, when you're sitting on the border of the playoffs, needing to have a final push, devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel all of the anger and rage was validated,
Yeah,
I'm still mad about it,
For sure. I mean, it's devastating. We've got Crash in here saying you couldn't what he meant to the Rapids, you couldn't replace him with the $20 million signing. Which, I mean, I understand that point. I mean, just in the last game, I'm sorry, it's Santos who they beat and have the game winner. In the last game against Tijuana, you have 2 free kicks in the perfect spot, and Cole goes, just a little too high on the first one and forces a save on the second one.
He didn't play Tijuana.
Just whether this is, there's no way of knowing this for certain, but his track record would suggest Djordje turns one of those into a goal contribution.
For sure.
Just because he is so money. He is, I think, Messi aside, if not best in the league, he's top 3, So just his dead ball contributions not being there is going to be so missed. The fact that he was such a creative funnel and a guy who could turn something out of nothing is really going to be rough. Now, the more practical 10-foot view is I do think that objectively being able to turn a guy who you spent 2.7-3 million on just 3 windows ago into 8 million, which could turn into 9, which could turn into 10 plus, is objectively good business. Doing that same thing for Hoffa, objectively good business. Having done that with Bombi just a year ago when you spent way less than the 2.7, objectively really good business. And honestly, probably the only way to create a sustainable sporting project that you can improve on. That said, the front office's track record post that Bombi sale is abysmal. I mean, every signing that's been made is pretty rough. And I liked Cheeto. I'm still an Ian Murphy believer. I think KDP will come through for us. I think Josh has been good, even though not perfect. And I worry about his fit with the rest of the roster. But I do think that was an okay signing. But now you have a lot of resources, and you need to, at the very least, repeat what you did when you were able to bring in Big Steph, when you were able to bring in Djordje, when you were able to bring in Hoffa, when you were able to bring in Sammy Vines, though that hasn't really worked out. You need to repeat a couple of those, and you can't just take the wild swing and hope you've landed the next Bombi.
Here's what worries me. And there's some level-headedness now. Mitch in the comments, Bombi money led to Cheeto, who's gone. We've got Holding, big question mark there, in my opinion. Murphy, Teddy, KDP, Atencio, bring in double that money, and they sell Hoffa too. I don't think it's crazy to see Bogart's optimism. So there's some level-headedness.
Yeah.
For me to look at the other side of it, all of those guys with Djordje are a 9th place team looking at fending off elimination. With Djordje, with Stefan, with Hoffa, you get rid of arguably one of the best 10s in the entire league, maybe getting rid of, a very good 9. Certainly the best we've seen since I can remember with the Rapids. A 9 has always been our struggle. We finally have one. And I don't think that Bombi money is all that great. I mean,
No, the Bombi money was
you
not
look at
spent well.
Tijuana. Tijuana is not great.
Not spent well.
And
Yeah, they're
without
both mid-table
Djordje on
Liga
there,
Yankees.
that was a one-sided match, man. Like,
They woke
it's
up
just
in the last 20.
the Bombi money.
But yeah.
Those guys, look, they're serviceable players, but serviceable team is 9th place, probably lower, looking at trying to get into the playoffs. The only way you're going to get a Djordje is to get very, very lucky again, which luck does not happen every year, or you go out and pay all of that money to get another Djordje, in which case, what was the point of getting rid of Djordje, other than he wanted to leave? But it's,
I mean, a
I just
former
don't have any
MVP like a
confidence.
Lucho Acosta would be available for $4 million. So half the money, and you bring in a former, a guy who we could argue is as good, if not a better 10 than Djordje. Problem is, they're not going after Lucho Acosta.
No, the same club that is going after Hoffa is
going after Lucho.
is looking
Yeah,
that
for sure.
he is going to sign
100%.
sign Lucho.
Yeah,
So
and I mean,
it's just, I don't know. For me, the confidence is real low, man. Like, and there's no shade on any of those players that we just mentioned or Mitch mentioned. Like, again, they're all serviceable players. The team as a whole, as probably as good as last year. I mean, in the standings, not so much. So maybe I'm wrong when I say
the
that.
per game point average last year was 1.47. This year is 1.2.
Yeah.
So they are below last year's pace, not drastically.
Yeah. I mean, so that in itself is a little concerning. You get rid of Bombi, who is an excellent defender, and then you look at the offseason focus. We brought in like 18, 19 center backs this year. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I think we brought in 5 or 6 cornerbacks this year. One of them is gone to France already. One of them, there were rumors that he wanted to leave to go to Saudi. And
I also think that's another thing the front office screwed up. Like,
yeah, and the defense, the back line really isn't that much better. So my confidence is real low, man, that this money is going to be spent on something that's going to make the team better versus just more points or more bodies, more people to put on the field, like lost a lot of talent. It's hard to replace that talent with just bodies running around.
Well, I just don't think you can approach it that way. I think you need to have Big Steph, Cole, Djordje, Hoffa type signings. You know what? Help me so I don't screw up the name. The Denver Post was reporting.
Braden Nurse.
Braden Nurse was reporting that their idea is to take that fee and spend it on 3 to 4 players. That's $2 to $3 million per player if you were to do that. Those are Hoffa, Djordje type signings, you know. And I was going through like the list of former USMNT Olympic teammates that Djordje played in the Olympics a couple years ago, and there would be candidates like that who would be in that range, like Gianluca Buzio, who's playing over in Italy, who could be had in the 4 to 5-ish range. Jack McGlynn would not be available. Tanner Tessman, maybe someone in that range. Duncan McGuire, maybe someone in that range. Kevin Paredes, maybe someone in that range. You know, can they sign 2 guys like that? If Hoffa goes 3 to 4 guys like that, you hope that is what they do. I also wonder, more big picture, what kind of an indictment is this on Chris Armas? This is one of your, like, go to war for you guys. And he's kind of saying, you know what? I think these other guys, I think your former coach might be more worth going to war for than this guy. And Hoffa, you know, like, the doubt that has now seeped in to the project that was built a year plus ago around that core of Big Steph, Djordje, Hoffa, Cole, that's concerning. Like, that we're just clicking the reboot button on all that, and where Chris fits into it all, and my doubts maybe seeping in of the, you know, the year 2 kind of fizzle out that Chris has and stuff. And maybe that's not fair, but trying to read the tea leaves and think of more of the big picture implications of these moves and the trickle down effect that it's having. Like, even losing a guy like Cheeto, I think these aren't great endorsements of the club, the project, the coach, the front office, and all of these guys who, look, we respect a ton. I mean,
sure.
But yeah, I think those are legitimate doubts to be brought up. And then, I mean, yeah, how the ownership fits into it all. I mean, look, man, we can talk about transfer fees all we want, but it is no doubt in my mind that as your team value has increased, as a new lucrative TV deal has come into the league, you're just eating what you kill as far as transfer fees coming in, and then you respend it, which is great, right? There's poverty clubs in Europe, like my stupid club, who don't necessarily do that. But at the same time, there is so much meat being left on the bone with that revenue I just mentioned brought in, and all of the Commerce City projects that they could reinvest in. They could make that more of a sustainable project, more of a money-making thing, and it's just been left to die. And I'm preaching to the choir. You guys all know that. I don't need to come in and tell you that's what's going on.
There's a word that you said
rough, man.
in all of that, and it was reboot. Teams for any sport, doesn't matter what the sport is, soccer, NFL, NBA, NHL, baseball, whatever, you do not hit the reboot button unless your team sucks. This team does not suck. And it doesn't suck. I mean, it's been above the playoff line since Chris Armas has been here. They've been above the playoff. They're a playoff caliber team since the day he arrived. So that's 1 and 3/4 seasons, 1 2/3 seasons.
100%.
That's a team that does not suck. Okay. Regardless of your feelings about Rapids, like, that team does not suck.
And
you don't get to be in the playoffs for
you know.
1 2/3 seasons if you suck. You don't push the reset button on a team that doesn't suck. And that, to me is a worrisome thing because it tells me, one, like you're saying, maybe there's other stuff going on where players don't want to play, whether it's they don't want to play for Armis or they don't want to play for the front office or they don't like how things have been going. Djordje, that dude is a fighter and he wants to win and he's pissed when he doesn't win. If he didn't like the preseason mantra that we were given from the club of, we like what we got when we asked about the wings and everything else. We like what we got. We got a good foundation. We're going to build from there. And then they go out and bring in a bunch of R2 guys from MLS Super Draft. If you're a guy who's trying to win trophies, you're going to be pissed and you want to leave. If you're Hoffa and your number one assist guy is now leaving, and you know that you've had 2 seasons now of not great winger play. I will say Calvin Harris has been much better getting the ball
Calvin's
in.
balling, which would be the argument for don't close the book on all the guys they brought in for Bombi because it's taken Calvin a couple years, but those returns may still come.
Yeah. But it's, you wonder what else is going on. Mitch had said something in the comments. I think it was Mitch, somebody about, Armis not being part of those conversations, stuff like that. Like you have to wonder, like, if he's not part of those conversations, is that just the Rapids way, or does it say something more about his tenure with the future of the Rapids? Because his contract is up this year.
And I've kind of been we're the positive guys, but I do think a lot of people in the chat, their counter argument would be, well, this was a middling team. This was a middling project. So why not quadruple your transfer spending ability? And maybe they're capped out to just being a middling team, which again I've been saying in our chat, like they're the 4th cheapest roster in MLS, and they're at worst the 10th worst team. So they are overperforming, and that is to Armis and the front office's defense and the players' defense as well.
But that sucks. Because
it does suck.
If they're overperforming that well, just think of how good the Rapids could be if the ownership supported the front office to take that money and put it towards high caliber players and not just spread the butter so damn thin on the toast.
But now you might have the resource to actually do that where you didn't before, right?
You might if you have
sacrifices in the immediate to. Okay, but I mean, we did just say they're overperforming their they're what they're spending. So you do need to give them some benefit of the doubt that if given
I give
any
that
money,
to the players,
right?
and I give that to Armis. I don't give that to the ownership and spending.
No, but to the front office,
they're doing that in
bring
spite
people
of crappy ownership support. All credit to me goes to the players and the coaching staff for that.
Well, sure.
So you have to wonder, are the owners going to allow the front office to actually spend on good players, or are they going to say, like, you need to water this down and, like, just keep with the middling? Middling is fine.
I don't think that's an owner's mandate. I think that's the resources you have, so you use them wisely.
I don't know.
But I believe them when they say
the front office has to ask Josh and Stan, can we spend this money on this?
Okay, and they've been I believe them when they say they were able to spend all the money they brought in for Bombi, and I believe that would continue.
Well, then maybe it's a front office problem because the team is what it is.
I mean,
are you wowed by any of the wowed by any of the returns from a player, Bombi, who was a wow?
No, of course not.
Does the collection of those players wow you?
It's also fair to say you're losing your shit over losing these players that they were smart enough to bring in the first place. That's the same front office you're criticizing was able to bring in Djordje for 2.7, was able to draft Bombi, was able to bring Hoffa for like 2 million or less, was able to take a gamble in Big Steph, a move none of us were confident in, and that panning out in a big way. Sure,
but how much of that just becomes like, we're just going to make the little move that's basically a marketing move at this point? If they're not going to fight to build around. So you bring in Djordje. Yes, terrific move. Djordje was awesome. But if you don't build a winning club around him and around Hoffa, who gives a shit? You know, like,
but I mean, that's the Rapids, right? Like, they're always going to be a team where the roster switches over every 2 years. Like, the idea of having a sustainable long-term project, that's not really world soccer for a lot of teams, man. That's AC Milan won the table a couple years ago. That whole core's basically had to rebuild. I mean, that's just.
I mean, then you have to be happy with a team that's not going to compete for trophies.
Or you treat it like college basketball and it's just get used to a new core of players every 2 years. And some might not be good and lose in round one. Some might make it to the Final Four.
I mean, do you think this team's making it to the finals?
Obviously,
anytime.
I mean, obviously,
I'm
not.
saying even with this move, you have confidence that this is a team?
I would be crazy to say that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't a team that you go, well, maybe they make it to the Final Four sometime. I don't think any of us believe that for the Rapids.
Sure.
I mean,
But then, Dwayne, how do you get there? Like, you would rather them just be a middling team forever?
No, that's what I'm arguing against.
No, what I'm telling you is
bring in a player
way...
like Djordje, and then your ownership shows up, and then you build around Djordje, and you make this a team that kicks other teams' asses. Like, you don't just go, hey, every 3 or 4 years, we're going to bring in a good player, and it's going to be some cool photos and marketing, and then they're probably going to leave and go to another team. But hey, man, you got autograph at the meet the team party.
Over realistic, idealistic.
Hey, man, there's a super chat we'll get to.
Like, they're not
other
Inter
teams,
Miami.
Their owners certainly have more money than Inter Miami.
Sure.
So that's not an excuse for me.
Yeah.
We can't say the possibility is not there. Like, the Rapids are not owned by me or you.
Just wanting your owner to go in the red is never going to happen. We all wish it would happen and would all spend billionaires' money.
Sure.
But
how much are they going to go in the red, though? I mean, these guys
but
have
Dwayne,
money
that's
from...
not a sustainable sporting project.
I'm not saying it's sustainable
but there are ways to build a sustainable sporting project, including selling guys for 5x and being able to bring in more money.
But what does sustainable mean? Does that mean winning championships or just being there?
Logically, what they're doing now is the only way you do improve. Whether we like it or not, that there is sound reasoning to this is how you actually take the next step. This is actually how you improve on the 12 months of mediocrity at best that we've had to witness and comment on.
That's how good clubs do it. That's correct. The data shows that we don't do that.
But you are overperforming your roster spend at the same time. And brought in players we're all freaking out about them losing.
You get one or two players, but you got to have a team. I don't know, man. Middling's not good enough for me. I want a competitive team that has a chance of going for hardware. This team isn't it. The Cronkies have shown that this team consistently is not it. You had a flash of greatness with the Thanksgiving Day letdown, and outside of that, it's been nothing. You know, you don't feel like you have a competitive team or that they're building into that. So I know this is the way that soccer works and the way you run a business, the business of soccer, but I don't see that happening as far as the data.
I mean,
they spent money. Data. You know, they spent money, but it's. I want results. You know, the results for me can't be spending the money. The results have to come after the spending money. So. Yeah, for me.
Yeah,
I'm talking as a fan here. I'm talking as a fan.
I mean, obviously the results will tell us. Yes,
yes.
We all agree on that.
The results are not telling us very much right now.
Right, but then we can't get mad that they're ready to try and punt on that project when the results haven't been great.
So,
right?
They're not punting. They're only getting rid of the best players. They're keeping all of the other ones. Like, that's not a punt.
So, yeah, I mean,
That's my thing. Is just like, well, he wants to leave. F it. It's, man, I don't know. It may, Wanners is bringing up some good points in the chat. The Rapids have spent more money in the last few years than Seattle.
And it's because they've been able to bring in more money than they ever have before.
Sure.
Which also is a credit to the front office.
I mean, but you look at Seattle, you look at the Rapids, so maybe it's scouting in front office.
You could look at Toronto versus. just spending money is also not the only solution, or else Toronto wouldn't be bottom of the East for 4 consecutive seasons.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's disappointing, but I also need to see what happens with Hoffa and what happens with this Djordje money. That's when we shall see what this really all meant.
This sucks.
Yeah, it's not great. NWSL, Denver Summit.
Summit news. There's another
We have Summit news.
soccer team in town. There's several soccer teams in town. The newest, Denver Summit FC, has made some news this morning. They've hired their first head coach. Nick Cushing comes in from Manchester City Women, where he
Big time.
brought them into the Women's Super League for their first time, coached them for 7 years, winning 6 trophies, really making that club a powerhouse. Moved over to MLS with New York City FC. Was an assistant coach there when they won a championship. Then he was elevated up to head coach, Compleonas Cup, Eastern Finals. A lot of success with that guy. He's worked at a very high level in women's soccer globally. Has worked with
some players.
Very, very, very good players,
including Carly Lowe.
in his tenure. He knows what good players are. He knows how to develop good players. He knows the strategies that work with good players. He has that experience. He's bringing that to Denver as the new head coach of Denver Summit. Starts immediately. There's rumors out there. One big one, ESPN is reporting it. Everybody, lots of places are. I think even 7 News saw it on. Everyone's been talking about it with Ali Watt coming in.
Watt for signing. Yep.
Coming in from Orlando Pride, immediately loaned back so that she can finish the season. Just won hardware with Orlando. So
yep.
She's a player with ties to the GM. She was actually drafted when the draft still existed with NWSL into Carolina Courage. So there's a relationship there.
Colorado native.
Colorado native from Colorado Springs, a forward, which matches up well with Nick Cushing. We put out a quote graphic earlier about his statement about his strategy, which is to create very much an attacking team, a team focused on attack and making other teams very uncomfortable with that. So we'll see what happens, but great news for Denver Summit. A great coach pickup. I'm excited to see how it plays out with how he does with creating a brand new team from the ground up.
Yeah. Seems like a big time hire. So you love to see that.
We got to get to the super chat too.
Summit doing some great stuff. William Lamb with the super chat saying outside Rapids news, it's officially confirmed that Thomas Mueller is joining Vancouver Whitecaps. Reactions. Yeah, he
awesome.
joins the Whitecaps. You have Son going to LAFC in a record transfer fee for the league. And then, as Kevin was mentioning, you also have Rodrigo De Paul going to Inter Miami for another signing that is big time.
Love seeing clubs outside of Miami do
2
that
of
too.
the 3 going out west. It's a big deal for the Whitecaps.
For sure.
My Whitecaps.
And they're
my
good.
Great preseason pick.
Yeah.
Adding him
He
is
nailed that one.
massive. Be interesting to see how his game translates in the MLS. Will he have the work rate? Will we see him? It'll be that attack's been humming too. So how's he fit in with Brian Light and those guys?
Because they're already good.
Yeah, we shall see. I'm far more intrigued by the Son signing.
Gosh, I
what
hate
he
seeing
could
a
do
player
out
I
wide.
like so much going to LAFC. That is just
It's gonna look clean in those jerseys, man.
been a rough week for me.
Gonna look clean. No, it's big time signings though. League keeps improving, and I think this caliber of players, like Son is still like on the back end of his prime, so you just see more of the Rodrigo de Paul. Like there were teams in Serie A that wanted him. These aren't just guys on a retirement tour anymore. You're catching them kind of a couple years before that, and I think that's a pretty big deal, and will mean a lot for the quality in the league, and just it raises all boats too. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
It's great. Yeah, I love seeing it happen outside of Miami. It shows that the league's growing, but also just like having other teams give Miami the finger and say, "We'll step to you as well."
Yeah, the Whitecaps, yes. LAFC doing it's kind of like, all right, whatever.
That's what they do.
That's our show. See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for jumping in the chat.
Incredible.
Good to see
Leave us a thumbs up on the way out.
Long-timers, yeah. Wanners and Mitch and Crash and
Beautiful.
Cody and everybody else. Thanks for jumping in. While we don't get to read all the comments out loud, we are reading them during the show and just really appreciate your insights on things. Smart folks out there.
Yeah. What do we say in these cases, Dwayne?
Even in these cases, in the darkest of times,
Up
the Pids.
baby. All right. Thank you to Kevin and producer Tiff and everything. We out.
We all silly like the mayor.